Okay, so I think I'm gonna start. We are a small group, so I would suggest if you have some questions, just go away and ask. Use the medium of your voice. Don't use the chat, since I'm not that good in multitasking. Yeah, and also in these terms, maybe Jana or Jason could keep an eye on letting people in. So yes, this is a practical lab. Actually, for everyone, you do not need any background knowledge for this lab. And it has two slides that are really important. So that the first slide, not because of the Pikachu, but because of the bit.ly link.
Molesta?
Sorry?
Sorry.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, because of the bit.ly link that is going to redirect you to our yes, practical lab folder, where you will also find all the material that you will need. Since we are going to do stuff in these spreadsheets, I think that it would be a good idea if everyone would just create a copy, at least of these two spreadsheets. So it's like the Twitter dataset and the Tumblr dataset. And just create a copy and call it by your name. And this is then going to be your workspace. Because if we are going to rearrange data in the same spreadsheets, it's going to create a small mess, and we don't want that. So yes, this is the first slide. And then the second important slide is the last one. Here, you are going to find all the links to all the tools and one extension that we are going to use during this practical lab. Also, while I'm gonna make like a short introduction and talk a little bit about memes, and while I'm doing so, please make sure that you have installed down them all. Image sorter for Mac or for Windows, depending on which machines you're working. So these three are like the most important, and these three are actually self-explanatory, and we can use them on the go, so to speak.
You post a bit.ly link in the chat, please, because I'm a bit lost in so many open browser windows. Thank you.
See, of course. Let me go to Slack. Just maybe a quick question. Are you able to see the whole desktop, or only the Chrome? So now it's
the entire desktop.
Okay, only the Chrome. Good, then I will rearrange it later. Okay, but at least I can see you. This is good. Yeah, so okay, while you are checking all the links and installing things, let me just give you a small introduction. So yeah, I mean, the title is promising, and it promises to study memes through platform data spreadsheets. Considering what memes are and what they do as visual digital objects, what we actually are going to explore during during this lab is how to observe, structure, interpret, filter your data, and using all these techniques, how then to visualize collections of images according to your specific analytical decisions. And we are going to test some of the analytical techniques with two different platform data sets. So why are memes interesting in this context? I mean, a meme is always more than an image in itself. It's always a collection of images, and it's also an object of cultural appropriation, but also like a multi-layered digital object that combines textual and visual information in one artifact. Finally, and kind of also obviously, memes are also objects of digital circulation. So they travel across the web, they are embedded within the communicative infrastructures of platforms. And these networks that they are part of make them also actually really dynamic and spreadable, right? In other words, and I always like to add to this conceptual part that memes are well, sort of a revenge of Hitler Steyer's poor image, an image that is endlessly transformable and reproducible, a copy in motion, right? So this is like her take on it. So yeah, this is what we have to keep in mind conceptually. Methodologically, though, and especially when we want to understand how a meme works within these networks of distribution, and also if we want to understand a meme as a material object, not only as content, we might want to think of memes as data-intensive artifacts. I mean, each meme is kind of part of the communicative infrastructures of platforms. It receives engagement metrics. It is also assembled by hashtags. Each meme has also its temporality as a data point. So it is attached to a date of posting, for example. It is also searchable through unique accounts on social media platforms, right? So it's really an embedded digital object, but this is kind of like the external, or like data that is external to an image that embeds it into the platforms. But we also have image data that's come from an image itself, and this data includes, of course, the features such as color arrangements, so hue, saturation, brightness, and so on. And it's also each meme also has content, right? And this feature is recognizable also through machine vision techniques. And of course, it also plays a huge role when we actually analyze images through qualitative methods in order to understand well, what's going on in these collections of images, which qualities do they share, which stories do they tell us. But when you then kind of have access to these bits of information, and if you then synthesize this internal image data and these external kind of platform qualities, you might want to do something with this information and visualize it in a specific way. And there are different layout choices. You can visualize your data set in an image plot. And this is a specific feature of an image plot, which is called image montage. Both created by Lev Manovich and Colex. And here always, by the way, you can, so the visualization comes from this article, but authors who also used these techniques before, you can find the articles if you follow the links. Yeah, an image plot is quite handy in analytical terms, since it allows you to merge, for example, like the time of posting or like the time frames with the color arrangements of the images, which would allow you to structure your data set in a very specific way and identify these also relations or variations in different types of content. So you can easily identify screenshots, for instance. And also through the color arrangements, you will have the clusters of similarity, which can help you a lot with situating the images in relation to one another. This is a grid, and we are going to build something like this today. Here, its specificity is that it combines the variations of different memes with engagement metrics, and the engagement metrics are also kind of colored yes, according to a logic of a heat map. So like the images that receive more engagement will appear like in brighter colors here. Again, yes, an analytical device that helps you to make a specific point. Yes, and then of course there are networks. A network allows you to cluster images in accordance with the shared hashtags, and it gives you access to the visuality of different hashtag publics, which might be well competing over a specific issue that you might be interested in. And if you are interested in building these type of networks, in the notes here, you can find a link to another presentation from last year that will also guide you step by step in order well, yeah, to try and build a network like this. But this requires also some Gephi skills and well, some work in the spreadsheets and so on. But what we are going to do today would be like the first step to such a network. And all these three types of visualization were created through a typical hashtag query. So how can we imagine that? So this is Instagram. We would extract data according to our hashtag search, and in this case, the context is, as you can see, again, Donald Trump and his speculations on treating coronavirus with disinfectants. So after you have had access, after you have access to your data and have extracted data, and you might have attended the workshop on data extraction, you will have a spreadsheet output, right? And the spreadsheet output will have all the digital properties attached to your hashtag query, including the image, including the engagement metrics, account names, time of posting, the image caption, which is very important, since it also has the whole co-hashtags that you sometimes you need to extract the hashtags out of the text. We are also going to do this today, and so on and so forth. So the logic of your data actually follows the logic of the front end on the platform. So here in your spreadsheet, you are going to have image URLs, right? And the list of these URLs you can use to download the images into a local folder, which we are also going to practice today. And then after you have all your images on your computer, you make the analytical choices and try to rearrange the images, because platform also pre-arrange the images for us, but we want to rearrange the images in space. And this is like a very typical first step in this process of analysis. This is Image Sorter, also the software that we are going to use today. And it allows you to structure the images by the time of posting, although this step kind of needs a little bit of work in your spreadsheet first. And then it also allows you to arrange the images by color similarity, which also will give you these specific clusters. Image Sorter allows you to zoom in and out of the images. So it's really a software that helps you to explore your data set. Unfortunately, its output is a screenshot. So there is no way of actually exporting a good quality image of its own out of Image Sorter, but it still can be very helpful to identify these small variations in the content that seems quite similar, and then create new visualizations in order to highlight the mimetic potential of this content. So this is our to-do list. We are going to explore our data, download the images into a folder. We are going to rearrange the images in space and see how and why it makes sense. Identify patterns of repetition, spot variations, and finally, we are going to create a visual artifact on our own and use it as an output of this practical lab. So yeah, what do we need? A spreadsheet with data. We need the Down Them All extension. We need the image sorter. And that's it. We don't need more. So let's just see how it plays out. At this point, let me see if I'm able to share my whole screen, because I'd like to show you also other stuff. Yes. Now this should be working, right? Okay, so you can see also my chaos. Good. Yeah, so let's see if creating the copies of the spreadsheets, if this worked. Just a second. Were you able to create a copy? Was this? Yeah. Okay. Good. Good. Because I kind of can't see any. But if you were, then we are safe. So let's start with our Twitter data set. We are going to use well, a specific issue also to try and see how in this case Netflix and its very contemporary mockumentary Death to 2020, which you might have seen at the end of the year. How Netflix actually uses this mimetic potential also to promote their content. So let me just close or delete this column because this is the usual output of, in this case, I extracted data using Phantom Buster, which is a commercial scraper, since the DMI tools that I would usually use have, or at least 2 weeks ago, the installer had no access to Instagram API and was persistently blocked. What do we have here? As I've said, the timestamps, the time of posting, the engagement metrics, account names, which also can be very interesting. The tweet link, which will redirect you to the platform. Tweet content, which has kind of hashtags, but also text. And we will see what we can do about it in a bit. Yes, and then it has a profile URL, okay, and the media URL. And this is where we start our work usually. So you might already know the image formula, right? It is image. And this is where you give you put in the address of the cell that you want to visualize, and just enter. So here we also see, and sometimes in terms of visualizing later, it might be quite good to know the variations of the image formula, because as you can see here, the image is like not covering the full cell. But Google has solutions to these kinds of things. And you can just enter a comma, right? And then you can put in 2, right? And it defines the height and width of your image. And it puts the whole image into your cell, right? And I think if it's 3, I'm not sure. Okay, 3 makes it really big, and I think 1 is the original. Yes, 1 is the original size of the image URL. Okay, so this is like the first step. And we now want to see all the images, so we just copy the image formula here by using Command and C, and use it as an input, or we paste it basically into the whole column by clicking into here the main cell of the column and using, in my case, I like to use shortcuts using Command V. Right, and it will, the images will appear in your spreadsheet. And if you see something like this, so sometimes it takes time to download an image, but sometimes the media URL might be either broken or the post might have been deleted. So sometimes, especially when working with big data sets and downloading the images, it might be an issue, and it requires then rearranging your data set in order to have a consistent flow of content, so to speak. Okay, so let's see. We have the images, we have the media URLs, and what we might also want to do before we download the images, and I try to use this always on each data set I'm exploring, we want to rearrange our data by time, right? Because this then will allow you to visualize the temporality of posting using, for example, image sorter, right? So importantly, and you can see here, actually the first step for me, and I always forget this first step, is to freeze the first row in the spreadsheet, because if you start rearranging things, it will create a mess. So how do you freeze the first row? You go, I think, yes, view, freeze, one row, right? And then it will be like you actually will create a column header, so to speak. Good, so we have this. So let's see if the images are already arranged by date. And to check this, we click in here and sort the spreadsheet according to the order like of appearance, right? So here we have then the 1st of January 2021, and we can also check the time frame of our data set. So we kind of have the 1st, the 2nd of January. Okay, we have like something like a little bit less than 2 weeks. Good. So now our images in the spreadsheets are kind of arranged according to a specific logic, which is the logic of temporality. Of course, you can also use engagement metrics, right? But yeah, it's an analytical decision. Good. So now let's see how do we download the images. For this, you will need a simple text editor. After you have opened it, there is one extremely important thing that you need to check. You need to make your editor, text editor, plain text, because by default it's in the rich text format. So just go to format and make plain text, right? And everyone can follow until now. Everyone is good. Okay, good. So media URL column now needs to go into our text file. And again, I just use command C and command V it. So I paste it into the text file, and I save it. Call it just Twitter test Netflix or something like this. Yeah, and I will just, for the moment, I will save it on my desktop and hope that I can find it. Here we are. Yeah, then I will just create a new folder again, call it test Netflix, and put the input into the folder. By the way, I am not the best example, as you can see, of organizing data, but it's when you work with digital methods, it's really good to keep this in mind. It's always good to know where do you have your stuff, because the more work you do with all kinds of data, the more folders you are going to create, the messier it gets. So it's kind of good to have a structure. So don't follow my example here. Good. So now we have our text file in a folder, and we just, now want to use the extension, down them all extension for Chrome. And to do this, we just use the manager, right? This is the first step. It will ask you to donate, which is kind of a good idea because this is a very useful extension. Yes, and now you want to import from file, right? You want actually here your text file to end up here. So we just import from file, and again, look for it and open it in here. And this is what you should see here. The first step is always to check all files, JPEG images, videos, other images, because there are different formats also, especially on Instagram, there are a lot of PNGs. So this is quite an important step. The second step is to decide how do you want to name your files, and there are different options. So as you can see, the file names right now look like this. So these are basically the image URLs here. But I personally prefer numbers because they are more readable to a human eye, and they allow you to orient yourself better in your data set. For this, though, you really need to have all your data in one spreadsheet, because if you make like multiple queries, you will have multiple outputs of spreadsheets. And then I would recommend to use the original names of the images because they are unique. And if you download the images for each spreadsheet with numerically, you are going to have folders having the same file names. And then you will not be able, if you, for instance, work with Gephi image preview, you will not be able to identify which image is which image. And this will create glitches in your data. So, but in this case, we have all our data in one spreadsheet, so we are good. If you want to download the images numerically, you need this type of index, right? This is where you can select the index for your image file names. So it's the ext is the file extension, and the IDX is the numeric item number. If you say, okay, I actually want to have a unique identifier for each image to be able to work with multiple spreadsheets, just use the file name and it will give you the same file name, right? But let us try to download the images numerically, because this logic also allows you to visualize the images by time later using image sorter. Yes, subfolder, another quite important information that you need to provide to dump them all. I just call it again test and download, right? And all the images then are supposed to end up in your selected folder. And yes, as you can see, some of the image URLs are already gone. And while the images are downloading, I'm going to show you two things that are quite important to keep in mind when you work with images. For this, I'm just gonna go to our Instagram dataset, and this is actually the data that I used several months ago to create the visualizations that I used as an example today in the practical lab. So this is this inject disinfectant Trumptini dataset from Instagram. And on Instagram, unfortunately, the problem that you have is that the image URLs, after you extract data, are gone like within, it can happen within a week, right? And this happens all the time. So if we hear this is like an older data set, if I try to use this image URL, I will have this URL signature expired notification coming from Facebook, obviously. This is really a problem. So this is why I want you to know this. And if you work with Instagram, make sure that you have downloaded your images well within several days because this data is also quite ephemeral, let's say. The other thing that I wanted to show you, and I think that the images have been downloaded already, but we have time. And what I'd like to show you is how to extract the hashtags out of the string containing different types of text. In the presentation, there is a slide dedicated to that. Let me see, it's called a bonus or an extra. In this slide, in the notes, you will find this formula. And this is a classical trim formula, which is there to clean up extra spaces in your text string. And it's a combination with a regex, which is a formula to replace text through other text or through an empty string in this case, which is kind of defined here. But this is just an explanation for the formula, and what we want to do right now, we just copy it and go into our Twitter dataset, and see here, I kind of already used the formula, but let's just get rid of it and delete the column. And again, insert this column. And we, yes, need to check the address again. H2 in this case. Yeah, and then just use it. right? And here you see, okay, something happened. The formula works or appears to work. So let's again just like with the image formula, let's just copy it and paste it again into the whole column to use the formula. But since it's a formula, you can't work with it. So you actually can't do anything with it. So what we need to do is to copy it, add a new column, insert one, right? And just a second. And paste special and paste values only. And this is going to paste only the text, or it is supposed to. Let me see. Yeah, so here we are. So now it's actual text. You can click on it and everything. So you can delete the column with the formula. And you will have here the actual only the hashtags. And this information then will help you in, for example, using this column to build a hashtag image network or a co-hashtag network. And you're going to practice it in other workshops. If you want to replace the hash sign, one thing that you can do is to use find and replace function. Type in find hashtag and replace with a semicolon, for instance, or with a comma, whatever you need for your data preparation for the next steps of visualization, for example. And then just replace all, and we are done, right? And it will give you this output. Okay, so now the images have been downloaded. Let me check where they are. Should be there. Yeah, so for me, they are in the downloads folder. And I just put them in our test folder where we already have our text file. So the images, as you can see, are there. They're structured numerically. So we have this order. Yeah, let's just try to open them using image sorter. Okay, this was maybe not a very good idea because I opened another data set before, which was huge. So maybe I need to reopen image sorter again. Yes, and search for our folder. It should be users in my file desktop and test Netflix and the folder of images. So for me, we got almost 800 images. I don't know, how are you doing? Everything is okay? You were able to download everything? You have the images? Let me check the chat. For this, I need to to stop sharing. Okay, the images are still downloading. Okay. Good. Oh, sorry, I was not paying attention to the chat, but okay, someone managed to copy the link from Slack into into Zoom. Okay, trying to catch up. Got lost at the how to import the plain text lists from down them all, and then count only. Okay, good. So quickly, let's go back to down them all. If you want, if you are done with downloading the images, it's quite practical to delete all the files in order to have well, a clean space for down them all to work, and we just remove downloads. So how do you get, the first question was, how do you get the text file into down them all? Was this the question? Just let me, okay, good. So import from file. Okay. So it's the right click with your mouse and just opt for import from file. Does everyone have the problem, or I'll just ask to unmute.
I'm not really sure what happened for me, but my down them all unload made it disappear. So I have to download it again. But
Okay.
it didn't look like that when I had my my extension in Chrome.
Okay, okay. Then just add the extension in Chrome again. And in the slides, you will also find the step-by-step for importing from file. Yes, and the second question in the chat, so I kind of need to go back in there. Chat, good. I missed how to upload the folder in down them all, and then could only follow what's happened. Okay, probably you mean the text file. It's here now, okay. Okay, I made a mistake and it started downloading one by one. Well, it's usually downloading one by one as far as I know, but I will just show it again for you. So import from file, opt for the text file, open, right? Check if you opted for all the images that you need. Also check if this here is complete. Check the mask. So this is the numeric mask that we have used. So by typing asterisk idx asterisk dot asterisk ext asterisk. And again, you will also find this in the presentation slide. Yeah, and then just click on downloading, right? Okay. So let me know if this worked for you. And let me return to the image sorter. Anyone who has got so far that the images can be opened in the image sorter? Maybe just give me a quick note if this worked. I even have the chat open right now, so you can write it if you want, or just use your voice.
Yes, I couldn't do it on my own again, but it worked out so far.
It works out so far. Okay. Anyone else? Am I going too fast? Okay, I assume this is okay. Still downloading the images. Yes, of course. Sometimes if the connection is too slow, it might take some time. But we are actually almost done here with the image sorter. And if you still do not have these images, maybe you have another image folder on your computer so that you can just test it and see how it works. So yes, what image sorter does now is just arranging the images basically, and here we are. Here automatically it has arranged the images by color similarity so that we can see all the Lisa Kudrow's and all the characters of the show here basically. And also the official brands of the show, yeah, and all like the yes, all the potential contents that can become a meme. In larger data sets, what you can use an image sorter for, and this is really quite practical, and this function is actually really underused. What you can do is to go for the option samples, for example, and well, choose one of the images. So let's go, because here, for instance, I see some variations, right? We have like here some mimetic potential. Let's say, I mean, it's a very small data set, but we can work with it to try to identify the variations. Yeah, and you can select, I would recommend not more than 5 input images, and ask image sorter to search for these images. And it will ask you to select a search folder from the Explorer, and obviously you search in the folder where you have downloaded the images. Yeah, and you just click for search images. And this is where you will see the variations of this image, and then maybe also other visually similar images. And in the option, you can define, so you see, I have like 100 images as range, and this is not perfect for this task. So actually, it would be better to use 50, because then it would be also more precise and just return us the images of Lisa Kudrow and Samuel L. Jackson here. And when you have identified these variations that you are interested in, you can just click on this image. And this is where you will find your identifier. And this is how you will be able to locate this image in your spreadsheet. But for this, we will need another quick step. So let us go back in the spreadsheet. And what we want to do, we want to add the numeric identifiers to the images. And on Mac computers, it's quite simple. So you again just select everything using the command line, command A. Then you use command C. And you add the images by pasting special again and pasting values only. And this is where you will have the information that you need to sort your spreadsheet later and locate the image in accordance with its numerical identifier. In image sorter itself, so to stop the search, you just can here close the option close the option for image selection. And what you can do to visualize the images by time then, so now we have the whole data set again, is to use actually the option of sorting by name. And the logic behind it, and this is why I suggested to download the images numerically, that image sorter, when it sorts by name, will give us the exactly same temporal order in visualizing the rows of the images. And here, for instance, we see something interesting already. So this is quite a similar visuality here, right? And it comes from either from the same account or from multiple accounts sharing the same image. But since we zoom in and see that this is these are all images of screens. So I wanted to use the terminology of screenshots, but it's not actually that. It's more like a smartphone image of the screen. And yeah, apparently someone was commenting on Twitter using this imagery. So these are like just some explorative steps that we can experiment with. And I just need to keep my eye on time, and I have 30 minutes more, I think. So right now, what we also want to learn maybe is how to create a visual artifact of its own according to a platform logic. For this, what we can use is another data set coming from another platform, which is Tumblr. I'm just checking again on the chat if there are some questions to see if you are doing okay. Oh, okay. Someone wants to know how to select the images as image references. Okay, so let's go back in the image sorter. And so here we are, our whole data set, and you just drag and drop them basically into the samples, right? And start searching for the images, selecting the folder, and start the search here. And yeah, this is what makes the difference right now, because I changed the search from the range from 100 images to 50. So here you see that now it's more specific, and we can actually see the same characters that we used as the input. Good, but let's just create something new. Let's just see how can platform data help us to create a visualization like this. See, so this visualization follows the logic of co-hashtags. It follows the logic of the use of emojis, and it also uses engagement metrics, here visualized through an arrow, I don't know why, to give you the output of the most engaged with content. And what you then are able to do is to, explore the variations according to different qualities of these images. So let us go in the Tumblr dataset. The first thing that we need to do, and here the hashtags, this is like a historical data set. It's quite old, but it's really good. This data set was created using Bernhard Rieder's Tumblr tool. The output of this tool is just perfect. So you really have all the data points you need. Including, for instance, the unique timestamps that you can use in the image plot. And the hashtags are already extracted for you. So now what we want to know is what's going on is in this data set according to the logic of co-hashtags. So the question that we are going to answer right now is, which co-hashtags were most frequently used together with our input hashtag Netflix and chill on Tumblr. And there are different ways of doing so. The best one is to use Gephi networks. I'm going to show you just some simple alternatives. So we just copy our hashtags here, this column, and go into, a text analysis tool, an online text analysis tool called tagcrowd.com. You can also find the link at the end of the presentation. And what you do, you just, again, just paste your text in this text field. So digital methods are a lot, they are just about a lot of copy and pasting. So then there is, again, there are some decisions that you might want to make. So the maximum number of words to show. So maybe let's go for 100 to have more diversity. The minimum frequency, let's say we want to see only keywords or hashtags in this case that were used, at least that were used together with the main hashtag at least, I don't know, let's say 10, yeah, okay, at least 10 times. Do we want to show the frequencies? Yes, we do. Yes, we want to group similar words. And yes, this is quite important. Don't show these words. And the words that we don't want to see, obviously, are the words Netflix and chill, since it's our hashtag input, kind of, right? So it's obvious that these words are the most frequently used words in this data set. And then we just visualize. And what it gives you, I mean, it's not a perfect output, of course, but it helps you in terms of exploration. It kind of gives you the association, like co-hashtag association going on in your data set. So the meaning of Netflix and chill memes, I mean, you might know that. And interestingly, Netflix also uses the meme in its branding quite often. So the meaning of Netflix and chill meme is basically having sex, or an invitation for having sex while watching Netflix, right? So it's kind of, the meme is kind of connected to dating. It's kind of connected to flirting. Yeah, so this is the context, let's say, but what's going on there? So we see, okay, there are like quite some interesting variations of this meme. We have dating, of course. We have also alone, which might be like an interesting contrast in terms of the mimetic variations. We then also see here at the end somewhere weed, smoking weed while watching Netflix could be interesting if you are into this issue. You have pizza, another variation. Yeah, so let's just try to use this, and then you also see, like, obviously meme and funny and LOL and all this is also, well, quite obvious in this case. Personal relationship movies. This is interesting because what does it tell us? It tells us that this data set has a specific temporality, right? And this data set is like September, October, November, and this is why the Halloween stuff appears. So probably these are them, like the best Netflix movie recommendations for Halloween or whatever. But let's use just at least maybe two associations here, like two co-hashtags, and just pick whatever you think is interesting for you. So I mean, Batman, some kind of subcultural reference, also very interesting. Yeah, so just go for it. So kill, this might be related to Halloween, but we need to check. Yeah, so I'm gonna go for alone and dating, because I think it's interesting to see how this meme was repurposed. And I just return to our data set. And what I'm gonna do right now, what I want to see are all the images, all the posts that were shared with Netflix and chill and its co-hashtag alone, or maybe, we don't know, maybe also Netflix and alone. So the variations of this. To do so, we need to filter our data. So we just we select the column, create a filter. Okay, it affects the viewers of this sheet, obviously. So please try not to filter these sheets together with me. What we want to do right now is filter by condition, right? And we want to filter by text. Yeah, so I hope you can follow me. I'm just checking. Oh, looks good. Yes, and the text is, in my case, alone, or you can also go for something else and click OK. Okay, and something apparently didn't work. So let me. Okay, so here we are. So now we have the output of all the images, as we can see here, like all the images used with the co-hashtag alone. I mean, it's interesting visuality. What we now want to do is to say, okay, we want to create a visualization that has some kind of logic according to maybe also engagement. So you now have sorted out your specificity in the data set. And now we want to say, we want to arrange these images by the count of nodes on Tumblr. And the nodes is an assembled value on Tumblr for likes, comments, and reboots, right? Yeah, and we sort our spreadsheet from Z to A to give us a rank, right? And this appears to be like the most popular image, although now I can see that the filter is gone. I think, yeah, this is not what we want. Okay, yeah, and now we have also our rank here. And what we want to do now to start creating our visualization is to create a new sheet and copy, let's say, the first 10 variations of this meme into our new sheet, including the image and including the count of nodes. So it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Right, so this will be the range of my selection. I use Command C and paste this just like that in the new sheet. And then we want to do something else because we want to have a readable visualization. We want to paste transposed. So we again select everything and cut here our information by using Command +X and click into one of the cells and paste special and paste transposed. And okay, we can delete this. So this is the very first step for creating our visualization. So let's see what else we have. Yes, I promised you dating. So let's go back and create a new filter. And go for dating. Again, it's also already structured by the number of engagements or by the count of nodes. Again, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Our 10 images, copy them and paste them first, because we cannot paste transpose. We need like this step in between. Cut this and paste special, paste transpose again. And this is not in the right cell, so we might want to rearrange. Yeah. So here already we do not actually need anymore. Here we can type in our hashtags that we have used for our selection. What was this? Dating. Okay. And then we also maybe want to do something else and to use another quality attached to these images, and these are emojis. For this, you need another column, the column caption. And what we are going to do now, instead of working with spreadsheets, we want to extract out of this text all the emojis that are in there, right? So again, we just copy this column and use a very practical tool by Bernhard Rieser, the tool called text analysis. So emojis are text, right? And what this tool does is we just paste our text in, is extracting the so-called collocations, which are the word pairs. And it also extracts emoji statistics. So let's see what's going on here in terms of emojis. We just submit this. And collocations might take a little bit more time, so we don't do them right now. And also I can also recommend to download a local version of this tool on your computers. But we have a small data set, so let's just use the online version and see which emojis we can use for our visualization. Yeah, so here we are. We have pizza, and we have all the typical emojis that you find in every data set. Yeah, the face with tears of joy. I mean, this is the most used hashtag, and we emoji, and we have a small data set. So I just wanna see, let's say, I mean, you can go for pizza or for television, but I wanna see what the users will associate with joy, right? And I just copy this emoji, go back into our spreadsheet, and create a new filter and repeat the same operation by using text contains and the filtering by condition, and add the value. Oh, this was not good. So let's repeat again, text contains, and here just paste the emoji and click OK. And well, the outputs are all the images containing these emojis. We want to sort them by the count of nodes again, and to use the first 10 images in our data. Yeah, and paste them in here. And paste, transpose. Delete this information that we no longer need. Yeah. Alone, dating, and our emoji. Good. So now we are almost done. Actually, I know it doesn't look that good, but it will in a moment. What we want to do now, we do not need these image URLs no more, right? So we want to select the rows that we want to hide. And to select the rows that we want to hide, a good option is to use the combination of command and clicking into the row that you do not want to have. and it gives you this conditional selection. And then you just click into the rows and hide the rows. This looks way better right now. So what we can do to resize everything is, well, to select everything and just start resizing. Yeah, let's make it a little bit bigger maybe. Let's make our text more visible. Let's make it big. Maybe it's the right font size. Oh, too big. Let's put it in the center. Maybe the emoji might need a little bit adjusting. Okay. So we then also want to work with our engagement metrics here. Again, we need to select these 3 rows by using the command option. We can make this well, more visually appealing. And now we want to use conditional formatting to add colors, to create this kind of heat map using these metrics here. And it's format, conditional formatting, color, scale. And this is where you can define your colors. So the minimum value, well, let's say maybe something like light blue. The maximum value could be something red, and then the midpoint, which will be calculated according to your information here. Number, right? And the midpoints, let's make it yellow. Yeah. So this is a typical heat map, as you can see. I mean, we didn't create a lot of variations like I did in this case, but I mean, it's still something, and we have 5 more minutes to go, so we are safe here. So what this visualization misses something, and it is the title. I mean, I learned it from the designers. Each visualization needs a title, and what we want to do here is to no, I need to think of how to delete the cells. Oh. Let's just try this one. View. Format. Sometimes I forget. Oh, merge cells. This is, I think, what we need. Okay, this is something. And then merge all, maybe. Yeah, this is good. So yeah, and let's create a title for our visualization. Netflix and chill. Let's make it big and do this. Nope. Something. the easiest steps are always the hardest. But okay, so yes, this is what I want. Good. So this is actually like almost a visualization that is almost good to go. We just need to export it. And you can do this by downloading this visualization as a PDF document. And maybe let's cancel this and look, we don't need all this information. Perfect. So download as a PDF. And here is where you can adjust stuff. So you don't want to show the grid lines, for example. Right, so this gives you like a clean output. Yes, and you just download it. You can also, I think you can somewhere you can adjust the margins. Headers and footers maybe. I have to, oh yes, narrow maybe. This will make the visualization bigger, right? So, but actually it's not that important. Yes, so this is your visualization. You just can export it, right? And you are done. And I think we are also on time even, which is amazing. And I hope it was helpful and not too boring. Yeah, see you around and have fun in the marathon of the practical labs. Thank you.